What's good? What's good? What is good, YouTube? Another day, another video here. Thanks for all the support on that last video. That last one was a banger. I'm glad. That was definitely good stuff. To be honest with you, watching some of these MGTOW channels on YouTube, I think I'm about to be among the more positive MGTOW channels, because we all know that there's several problems here. And a lot of channels discuss the problems, but something that I've learned in like my short life, whatever you want to call it thus far, is that when there's a big problem, there's also an equally big, if not bigger, solution to that problem that's near the problem. So on this channel, I kind of want to discuss some solutions. I'll discuss the problems too, and the causes. So this channel is going to be more about causes and solutions to those problems. And I think there's a lot to be discussed on those and a lot of action that could be taken. So yeah, let's just get into this one. So also leave a like and subscribe. I'll start saying that more because as this channel gets more views, I kind of want this channel to get bigger. So let's get into the meat and potatoes here, if you will. So here in the US, labor is often imported in the form of men coming far and wide from other nations, looking for their opportunity to live the so-called American dream. So this keeps America's labor force supplied for the most part, at least it did. As I said in the last video, men participation in the workforce is going down, and that's among immigrants and natural-born citizens, so that's changing. But as natural-born, as a portion of the natural-born Americans in the previous several generations have chosen not to work for various reasons, you're getting that dip. And then it's even happening with immigrants too. As I literally just saw yesterday, walking back from trying to apply to like a job at a pizza place, I was this Russian guy. There's a Russian homeless man that I talked to for a little bit, and he was drunk. And at first he was friendly, but then he quickly got unfriendly. And I couldn't get his whole story, but he immigrated here from Russia fairly recently, and he came to America to get away from the crap that was going on in Russia. And I was telling him, like, America's not necessarily better in all respects, but then he pointed out his new shoes, and he's like, I can get some clean new shoes here. And I was like, fair enough, they were pretty nice shoes. But yeah, that was a little bit of an aside. But even the immigrants are coming here and not working. And then also this portion of men choosing not to work actually seems to increase with each generation for some reason, at least here in the US. I can't speak for other nations, I can just speak for here in the US because that's what I know. But that's what's been happening here in the US. So women's participation in the workforce has also increased heavily in the past few generations, and their level of formal education has increased as well. So while this is honestly a great thing in many respects, it has also had the effect of decreasing the eligible pool of available women nationally for men to date and potentially marry. So there's pros and cons to it. And that is a con to women as much as it is a con to men, as people often realize later, and even some of my friends are realizing later. Like, that's like happening in real time here. So by the time many of these women want to quote-unquote settle down and seriously date or marry, they're well into their 30s or even 40s, and sometimes late 20s, and oftentimes in this day and age, with the advance of the internet and social media and how like things are quickening in terms of the pace. Being in your late 20s, you could have had a lot of different things occur that may not have occurred to a woman in her late 20s in a previous era. So that, like, I don't want to say, like, some of these people age pretty quickly, and I saw that personally in college. Like, a lot of people from age, like, 18 to 20 aged, like, they aged a lot in that time span. And these are your regular, just normal women that in a previous era would have gotten, like, married or something. And now that is probably not happening. And to the person that is trying to maybe marry them eventually, if that's still a thing, they are not going to want to know that history. I'm just going to say that. And these are regular women. And yeah, they're not going to want to know that history. So I can't even, and I went to a small school, so I can't even imagine the other, like, what was going on in elsewhere, and I'm not really trying to. But, so, oftentimes, men don't want to settle down with women of these educational levels and ages, not because they're intimidated by their level of education or some other thing that you might hear. The main reason for this, to be honest, is because they're not certain of the history of these women. Because for men, what I realized is a lot of, like, a big thing is just the history of the woman. No man wants to take on a woman because that's a big job to do. And if you don't know the woman that well, let's say she's 25, in this day and age, if she's 25 and went to college, to be honest, you don't really know. You have no clue, like, what that history is. And you can ask her, but, depending on the woman, what answers are you going to get? Like, are you going to get straight answers? I'll leave that up to you. I'm not going to think about that one. But to me, I think a potential solution to this problem, or something that we could do, this is a little bit controversial, but I'll get into it, is the importing of foreign women for dating and marriage. And as a MGTOW person, this is something that we could start doing, because, like, to be honest, we're already a little bit on the outcast of society, if you can call it. I don't really know if there's a society, and to be honest, to speak of, but if you want to call that a society, like, we're kind of on the outcasts already. Like, we're on the outer edges, the outskirts. Like, that was the word I'm looking for, the outskirts. Even though, to be honest, I don't really know if that's becoming like less and less true by the day, it seems like. But traditionally, we're kind of like, we're bachelors, so we're on the outskirts. So we have the time that we don't have to worry about the social standing, or whatever you want to call it. And we have, and a lot of us have the resources to go out and go seek something in a different land, and that we can bring back, if that makes sense. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. And I'm fleshing out this idea, so, like, I'll probably be able to say it better in later videos, but we can, like, pioneer that kind of thing, because I think this is something that could solve a problem, so we could pioneer that solution. So just because things kind of seemed like bad in certain nations like the US, you have the opposite situation in a lot of other places. You just have to look. And a lot of MGTOW channels will get you kind of feeling depressed about the state of things, but there's always a flip side on stuff. So you just have to look for that, and it might not be in your own nation. And to be honest, I'll have another video about this later. The idea of nations is a joke now, to be 100% honest with you. There's, at least in a place like America, maybe a place like Sweden, it's different, but in terms of nations, like in America, the idea of nation is not, it's quickly becoming, if not already, not, it's not, there's no, the binding idea of America is kind of slipping away. I think it's up to people like MGTOW to keep that there because we have the resources and the time to do it. But that's a different video. So just continue with this. A lot of women across the world are potentially of a more traditional mindset, and their ages may match better. Because to be honest, I think you should be talking to younger women. You shouldn't be talking to women your age as a man. It just doesn't, biologically, it doesn't really work that way. If you want anything long term, if you want to go for something short term, then great, go ahead. But if you're talking about long term, I don't know if that works well after a certain age. Maybe if you're both kids, then sure, because then it's an adventure. But after a certain age, I don't know about that. But continuing, just as labor is imported in the form of foreign men, dating and marriage potential can be imported in the form of foreign women. And then after the successful importation, we can begin to turn that potential into production for now and for the future in terms of like marriages and kids and whatever. And then, yeah. But that's just a potential solution, kind of controversial. So let me know what you guys think about it. And I'll have more videos on that. But yeah, just let me know what you guys think about that. Solutions. Solutions is something I kind of like to discuss because there's a bunch of problems. We all know that. But there are causes and solutions. And that's kind of less talked about. So I want to talk about some of those. But yeah, alright, have a good day. Peace out. Good morning, afternoon, whenever you watch this. Deuces.